What is happening, everybody? This is Forrest with the Built on Blue Collar podcast. It has been a long time coming for a new one of these. We haven't been doing a podcast in a long time. It's been months and months. So this is the first one back at it. We've just been so darn busy running around and doing stuff. So glad that we can get episode 14 going. We are in the home studio with a good friend of ours, Ryan Kemp, over at Tally Riggins. He is the Director of Preconstruction, right?
Correct.
Director of Preconstruction over there at Tally Riggins. And I've known Ryan for a long time. He's been good family friends of ours, and he's actually the guy who got me out to Dallas and was kind enough to let me stay at his house with the wife and get mud all over his house, coming back from those Labor Days where I was knee-deep, waist-deep, and ranching on out in a cow ranch, building a high school, just covered in mud. And I think didn't we break your washer at one point?
Yeah, at one point.
I think we just got we got so much cow crap mud from my clothes coming home that I'm pretty sure they just had to toss the washer.
It was on its last leg anyway. So
oh, okay. He's just trying to make me feel good, I think. But anyway, Ryan, I appreciate you coming out. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing, but
absolutely.
Thanks
for having me.
Yeah. It's been kind of a crazy couple months, but we're glad to be back doing these, and we're going to pour some whiskey and say our typical cautions that, again, we are not a politically correct podcast. We are not somebody that's going to look out for your feelings. So if you are easily offended, then leave now, because we're just going to chat it up, and we're not going to worry about what we say or who we say it about. So with that being said, I didn't realize I poured that much.
That's all right.
From down here, it looks a lot smaller. But anyway, so Ryan he works for a general contractor in the area, Tally Riggins, and he was the VP of Preconstruction over at the company that he got me in with, Lee Lewis, back in the day when I first came out here. And how long have you been doing this? How many years?
Oh, let's see. I've been in Dallas for 15 years.
I was going to say 15. Okay. Yeah, so he's been doing pre-construction in kind of the estimating world, coming from the GC perspective for 15 plus years, and has a lot of experience dealing with, crap that comes out in the field, dealing with contractors, dealing with owners, dealing with just all the daily activities that is entailed with estimating. So basically the goal of this podcast is to enlighten you contractors out there on, I guess, the day-to-day activities in a GC, a general contracting firm, how they estimate, how they look for the contractors and how they bid the project, how they want you guys to bid the project, and kind of some tips, tricks, all that kind of good stuff to give you guys a little bit of info as far as that goes. Because something that I've seen in the industry, and dive in and let me know if you think this is accurate, contractors really give the bad rap to the GCs. Some general contractors out there are terrible. No question about it, for
right.
sure.
Absolutely.
There are some general contractors that are amazing, and it all kind of boils down to that partnership that you can create, and those relationships with those GCs when you go in and bid a project. And the contractors typically don't understand that process very well, from what I can see. And I think if they did, they might know how to bid a project more efficiently so that the general contractor can get everything they need and make it maybe run a little bit smoother. So
absolutely.
What do you think?
There's somewhat of a misconception on how we actually solicit subcontractors, which we now call our trade partners, because it's a partnership. So we're working together. At the end of the day, we want to make sure everybody's healthy, goes home to their families, loves the experience that they're working on. The project is successful, and we're all making money. So that's the end goal. But there's a misconception about how we actually solicit our trade partners. And some of these guys are thinking, oh, you're just, sending it out to your favorite, one or two in every trade. And that's just not the case. Depends on the type of delivery system, depends on the type of project. And there's different trade partners, at least from what we've seen, that are more suited to a specific project type.
Yeah.
So we look at a lot of different factors when it comes to soliciting subcontractors, but a lot of it has to do with, relationships. This industry is entirely relationship driven.
Yeah.
So some of it's our past and relationships with our trade partners that they're on our bid list. Sometimes it's guys, strike out on their own, start new companies, and we're just not aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's...
Can I ask a question on that?
Absolutely.
What's the first thing you do when you don't know a subcontractor? Like, what do you do?
If they're actually coming to us and we don't know them, we get a little feedback from them. We call up guys that have worked with them. We've got a good relationship with a lot of our fellow GCs out there that we're talking to, seeing if they've had a relationship with these subcontractors, how they work, what types of projects they've done, what size of projects they've done. So that's the first thing, is making sure we know somebody that knows them.
Do you ever dive into their website? Like, do you go look them up on Google? Is that like one of the first things you do?
It does. A lot of times on bid day when we get an unsolicited trade partner number, we're actually looking up their website to see if they have one.
Yeah.
So that's a big,
This is just interesting coming from your perspective, because we talk to clients about this all the time and how important the website is. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times until we mention this, they don't think it's very important sometimes. And so, like, when you see a crappy website, like, maybe that contractor can do a lot, but, like, when you see a crappy website, what's, like, your first reaction as estimating?
Sometimes it just depends on what trade they're in.
Yeah.
I don't expect, the striping guy to have a great website.
Yeah.
But, if it's...
Well, when they do, does that change your mind at all?
It does.
Does it help,
when it's an awesome website, it really... stands out as, hey, maybe these guys have their stuff together. Let's get involved.
If they show that kind of importance on something so little as a website,
correct,
then they must have their act together.
Right.
Well, and one thing that we get a lot of is they ask us to come out, and they're like, okay, well, we'd like to get the website, and of course we help with cultural stuff as well. But one of the big things that they want to do is show off their capabilities through the website,
right?
Like the size of projects they've done in the past and stuff. Like, I was looking up utility contractors in the area. We're finishing out one of our clients' websites, utility contractor. Of course, our research goes into, okay, what's their competitors? What's all the SEO and Google analytics on these guys? Mm-hmm. And I love these guys, so I'm not trying to rag on these guys, but North Tex Contracting, they have a terrible website. But they have the name around town.
Correct. They have the reputation.
Everybody knows what size of projects they've done over the last, couple decades.
Right.
So you think, okay, yes, that's good to have the name associated with them. But when new partnerships come up and new guys come into the industry, we see a lot of times maybe there's a project manager on a job site who's green, young, and has just moved to the area and doesn't know North Texcon.
Correct.
And they don't know their capabilities through the website, which I find really interesting. I'm like, even a company their size and their capability, you would think that they would have a better website.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for some people it's just not important when they
Zach.
Enough work going on that, hey, they're known by their reputation, and they're not hurting for work right now.
Yeah, and I don't think most contractors really aren't hurting for work either. I think it's the workers.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue that we run into. But anyway, continue on your process. Sorry to jump in there.
Oh, like I said, it's a lot of it's relationship driven, but you're absolutely right. When you look at a website, let's say I get a $2 million concrete bid unsolicited on bid day, you better believe I'm checking out their website, because I don't have time to make phone calls and figure out who they are. And if they don't have a website and they're bidding a $2 million job, I'm passing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting, because it's like you can't guarantee as the GC who has the risk and liability,
right,
that those guys can actually perform.
Correct.
And they might be able to perform.
Absolutely.
So you think a $2 million contract value, or the small sum that it takes to build a website.
Right.
And if the website could land you one of those, it would be so worth having a website that
absolutely
is a good website. That's something that, like, we've used to describe the importance behind a website. Like, we basically tell people that the website is the information source, whether that be hiring people or gaining new clients. It's just an information source. It's where you go to learn about the company.
Yeah.
And where we can apply tools, you know, for either bidding jobs, you know, hiring people, you know, having employee training on, whatever it is, we can use that website for that. But yeah, I've never actually asked you that question, but that's been something that I've wondered for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use our competitors' website to figure out, you know, how we stack up against competition. So
Yeah, right. Well, and that's funny too, because a lot of some of our partnerships, they're not too concerned about the competition, but it's always in the back of their mind. That's like, okay, do we show off our trade partners, like you said? Because if we show off our trade partners, then maybe our competition sees that we're doing work with them,
right.
and then they get in with them, and so forth. But the kind of what we always say is, if you guys are confident in your abilities,
Absolutely,
you shouldn't have any worry about that. And normally they're like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, let's go put them on there, because we want to show off our trade partners, but we also want to, you know, show that we're the best at what we do. So,
no,
yeah,
we love putting that out there, who our trade partners are and who we're working with. Because
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, we want them to be successful, and we want to be successful. So
yeah, for sure,
it's a team effort.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so you guys, when you first initiate, like let's say you guys obviously here's a better question. How do you guys get jobs? What's the process of you guys finding your projects? And then when you land that project, when you get the contract on that, what's the process from start to finish on estimating? Walk me through the entire process as that's, you know, out there.
So it kind of depends on the type of project it is. But let's, you know, take a negotiated project, for instance. Typically, we're getting that opportunity because of the relationships. So whether it be our owners, our BD guy, our, you know, one of our business leaders that's over institutional or over industrial, they're bringing that project in. We're getting the opportunity to put the pricing together and negotiate it. So once we get that in the door, depends on the level of documents we're at, but a lot of times it's budgetary. So we may reach out to a few of our trade partners, just verifying our numbers when it's budgetary. But as we move up into, you know, the actual bid documents, we're putting that out, and we're trying to make sure that we've got the right trade partners invited.
Yeah.
So, you know,
is there a limit to how many people you invite in on that list?
When it's a negotiated deal, you know, we're trying to limit that, because we don't want to put that out to the world, because it's not fair to our trade partners either. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So we want to limit that. We want 3 numbers.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah, that's what I've always seen too on those docs, those pre-con docs, is 3 or 4 max.
Yeah, and sometimes owners actually require that. Hey, we want to see 3 numbers.
Yeah.
From every trade partner, or from every.
Even if you're like, I know I'm using this person for this job, because I know we've been on jobs where it's like either the superintendent or somebody on pre-con's like, look, like these guys are going to do the best job on this project, hands down. Like
Absolutely.
They're going to win the project. It doesn't matter what the number is, but they still require some owners still require those 3 numbers.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes owners are, you know, they have the relationship with the trade partner, and hey, this is my guy.
Now, when that happens, because I've heard this as a complaint from the contractor side of things, where they go, I feel like they're just asking for my number to get my number. Like, are you guys open about it? Like, hey, don't spend a lot of time on this. Or, I mean, it's kind of a tough position to be in, because you need those 3 numbers.
Right.
You don't want to like make them do useless work at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, we don't want to, you know, them just spinning their wheels, because everybody's time is valuable right now. So we're trying to alleviate that with, hey, you've got a good opportunity on this, spend some time on it, and let's go through it.
Yeah.
Versus, no, it's already this guy's job, but hey, put a quick number on it. Here's the quantities.
And who knows? Maybe something happened.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, because, you know, everything's kind of up in the air, because construction changes on a daily basis, right? So, like, you know, who knows? Maybe that contractor, you're like, yes, he's getting it 100%. Maybe he calls you back and says, man, we can't take this one, or, you know, we can't get out there that fast, or whatever. Right. So I guess you really never know until the project begins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had recently trade partners walk off of jobs because, we didn't realize it was starting that fast. We can't man the job.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Especially now, because there's so much need for people out there.
Right.
So, okay, you send it out to three trade partners. You normally get that number back. I'll let you keep walking through that process.
Yeah, you know, once we send that out, you know, through our solicitation software, then we're calling them, hey, just making sure you're working on this, or we're shooting them an email or a text or whatever. Hey, making sure you saw this, making sure you're working on it. So we get those numbers in on bid day. Once we get that in, I'm scoping it. I'm calling these guys. We're walking through the scope. We're making sure we've got everything covered. You know, as we need to, I'm plugging holes of additional undefined scope, so we can get to a guaranteed max price. At that point, we hand it off to our operations team. So we get the contract in, we get the guaranteed max price. We sit down, we have a handoff meeting with the operations team. So we've got our project manager, our project engineer, the superintendent, director of ops, all those guys are in there, and we're walking through the scopes, walking through our trade partners that we're set up on.
Any questions that the build team has on it, they'll ask at that point.
Correct. So at that point, it's up to the operations team to start signing up guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's typically the project management team side of things that
Correct.
will write the contracts at that point, buy out the contracts. And obviously one of the biggest complaints in the industry are those, in my case, those stupid project managers that just go, this is the low bid, we're going with these guys.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of times they end up spending a lot more money. Which brings me into the question, can you dive into like the different types of contracts with the owners? Because, you've got obviously some contracts have a contingency, some contracts don't have a contingency, some contracts have buyout that you save, some you don't get to keep the buyout. So like what's the different types of contracts with the owners on the GC side of things?
Most of our GMPs, we're locked into that price. So we've got contingencies built into it as needed, especially right now with escalations.
And pricing
and nobody can hold their pricing. Suppliers won't hold their pricing.
A week or two and it changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got contingencies built into those guarantee max price contracts.
To a point.
Yeah. I mean, we've still got to make the job pencil out. The owner's still got to be happy with the contract amount. So as available, we have contingencies in it.
Yeah.
And then once we buy the job out, sometimes we build up that contingency a little more if we get some buyout in there. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to beat our trade partners up. We want them to be successful, and we want the job to go well. And it doesn't go well when you start out by beating these guys up.
Well, and I think that's a miscommunication between like the project build team and the pre-con team, and probably the leadership in any company too. Is that like the project build team needs to understand that, okay, these are the funds that we've gotten here so that we can account for these things.
Right.
Because a lot of times assistant superintendents out in the field or superintendents out in the field, they're not looking at the numbers, the daily numbers on these things. And so what they do is they just beat the guy up out in the field and say, we don't have money for it. We don't have money for it. You have to eat this.
Right.
When in reality, I think if they understood, because sometimes the build team doesn't understand, like there is money allocated just for this situation. Like this wasn't clarified on the plans very well. We knew we were going to run into this issue.
Right.
That's where this money is allocated to.
And I've constantly got, PMs coming back to me. Hey, what did you plug in for this? Hey, did you have any money for this? Yep, here it is. This is what we have plugged for it.
And that's when you look at these spreadsheets and like all the line items that goes into building, and especially somebody that doesn't, I guess, go through the GC process. Like for instance, since we work with a lot of excavation companies, you think the excavation company, their line item on your sheet, your scope, is fairly small. Like it's very little, right? Like they don't do next to any submittals. Their RFIs are going to be very minimal, elevations maybe, or slopes and whatever. And their scope is going to be fairly small as far as like a written contract.
Correct.
Now you get like the drywall guy or the tile guy or, the sheetrock guy with all the framing involved.
Much more detailed.
Plumbers, HVAC, and you think those can be pages and pages and pages worth of scope. And I think that's important to understand too, is that like when the GC is working on these things, they're looking at 50, 60 scopes and not just your one. So coming from a contractor standpoint, you got to understand that too, is that you're budgeting on X number as the contractor and they're budgeting on 60 of those numbers.
Right.
So it becomes a lot more strenuous, I'd say, as far as budgeting goes.
Yeah.
And finding out where that money's going. And I think in a contractor world, and same in the GC, everything comes really fast. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you just don't have the time to look through for those dimes in a project. But it's one of those things you kind of have to step back and set some time to do that.
Yeah.
Instead of burning bridges.
Well, and that's the most important thing for us when we do our handoff is we have our somewhat detailed handoff, but then we need to sit with our project team and actually build the budget. So when we're pulling out those contingencies, they are line itemed out for specific events. So that helps us stay on the same page, and not go back to the trade partner and say, hey, you've got this.
Yeah, yeah.
And make them eat it. That's not how we want to operate. But, sometimes we get into a situation where, hey, I missed it, you missed it. Let's figure out how
let's
to
both
fix
eat it.
And we'll both take a part in it. So
well, and I think it's important too, because I don't see this happening a lot on the contractor side of things, but like pre-bid RFIs, the GC, we had to do those a lot of times, the pre-bid RFIs, and then so does the contractor. I think should, when they're bidding the project, send in those pre-bid RFIs.
Absolutely.
Because it's kind of their responsibility to look out for the whole project, in a sense too. So like if the utilities conflicts with the dirt work, let's say you've got RCP that's, 2 inches high from finished grade, like that's an RFI.
Yeah.
Figure that out, because who knows, that might be some import that has to be on the job. That's $50,000 extra, whatever it is.
Correct.
So, a lot of contractors wait till that happens out in the field and they go, well, what the heck? We don't have this. You guys don't have this. And it's like, yeah, but we both had the time to look at this during the bid process, and we both missed it. So then, that a lot of times that's still both GC and both contractor, and you guys have to work it out. But yeah, I think that's hugely important for the contractor side of things, because again, the GC's looking at 50, 60 of these bids, depending on the size of the project, and you're looking at yours, and you're the expert in yours.
Yeah, that happens a lot, because we're looking at the entire set of plans front to back, so we're not going to catch every single RFI that needs to be submitted. Obviously, that's why we have field RFIs. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we're relying on our trade partners who are the experts in their field,
which is actually built into their contract.
Correct, to catch a lot of these things. Yeah. So,
which again, people get mad because they're like, well, they're saying it's in my contract. They're throwing the contract in my face, and it's like, well, no, you should know what's in your contract.
Exactly.
Like it's not that we're trying to beat you up with the contract, but you should have the knowledge of what's in there.
Absolutely.
To the point, and same thing with the specs and the plans, right? Like if there's something in the plans that you miss during bid time, like, yeah, we understand you can miss things. You're going to miss things on a project, but don't come to us and blame us as a GC for it.
Right.
Because that's just, you had the time as well.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these companies are throwing out so many bids right now because there's so much work, and they don't have enough people in their office to do it. So, it's like, I totally get the time crunch. And I think this is where like one of our major issues in the industry is that ownerships, developers and owners, they want things done faster with better quality for less money.
Yep.
And those are three things you can't have all three. You can have two out of the three. You can't have all three.
Absolutely.
And so when you're doing that, it causes a really, I guess, stressful industry because everybody's maxed out.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times there's, like you said, there's that separation between pre-con and operations. Trade partners, a lot of them are set up the same way. Some of them actually do the estimate and then go run the job.
Yeah.
A lot of them have that separation where all they do is estimating, and then they go back and forth with myself, negotiating, oh, yeah, I got that scope. Well, that never gets translated to the guys in the field.
Yeah.
So then you have a fight on your hands between our two operations guys. Hey, I don't have that. I don't have any money for that. Okay, your pre-con guy agreed to it. He said he had that covered.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you get finger pointing in the field.
Well, and then you get the issue where it was your pre-con guy versus our pre-con guy.
Yep.
And then the operations team wrote a different contract that didn't include that.
Right.
But it's like, you guys have it in there on your number. So, and then that's when it's like coordination with your pre-con team and stuff like that. And if it's not on the contract, a lot of times they're like, oh, not mine. And it's like, come on. You don't want us to beat you up with the contract. Don't beat us up on this. Like I think both sides need to not nickel and dime each other, but have to be realistic, right? Like, I can't eat this. Like, this is obviously like on your side. I'll eat this because it's obviously on my side. Like, totally get it. Or let's split it. I've done so many times where it's been like, okay, let's split the cost on this. You're right. Both of us slipped up on this. Let's eat it together. But yeah, that's there's so much. I think it pays to be a contractor that has their crap together in their office and out in their field. and this comes back to communication. We talk to a lot of companies that have miscommunication in these areas, and that's when we come in and we kind of like show them, hey, here's where you're losing a lot of money.
Right.
Your communication is not the greatest between your pre-con team and your ops team, and that's huge. If you don't have that, you're going to be losing money on every single project. If you have good communication, you can save millions a year just talking with each other, just communicating. And yeah, that's essential. But yeah, that's crazy. So here's another question. So we've got some smaller companies that right now we're working with that are trying to break out from their residential side of things into more of the commercial market. And Tally Riggins and Ryan, he's worked mainly commercial. There's not been a lot of like multifamily or residential projects that you've worked on.
I've looked at a few, but we try to stay away from the stick frame operations as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's a different world. It's a different set of trade partners.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and so like when it comes to commercial work with a small contractor that's building their estimating team that really doesn't know how commercial operations work from your side of things, what would your advice be to like a smaller contractor trying to break out into that market?
You know, if it's site work related, there's really not that much of a difference. In multifamily versus commercial side, but anybody else, say it's an electrician that's used to only doing residential. There's differences in terms of the type of wiring. There's difference in
the specs on everything.
Correct. There's
city requirements and
light fixture types. I mean, there's the list goes on with the little nuances that are different. So the recommendation there, for at least from me, would be, hey, call somebody up, sit down with them, come in and just review things. Here's what's different on the commercial side. And ideally, we'd like to pair you up with, a trade partner who's willing to walk you through that.
Yeah. What would your reaction be if like a contractor came in and they were like, and they talked to the estimating team and to you guys, let's say it's a brand new partnership or a brand new relationship, and they're like, hey, we just want to be open. We haven't done a lot of these projects, but we want to get in doing these projects with you guys. We want to be a partner with you guys. Like we want to walk through this and make it profitable for you guys. Like, but we just don't know this, or this.
Right.
Can you guys help us out there?
Yeah. We'll absolutely coach them on that. So, I mean, the best way to learn it is by doing it. Yeah. So, we'll send you a few commercial projects, you bid them, and then we'll sit down and walk through the scope with you and make sure you got everything covered. So,
yeah, and that person to person, like, I mean, I remember when we were working together, we had so many meetings in our office with those contractors. I mean, every single time we had bought out a contract, we had a meeting with the contractor to walk through the scope prior to the signing the contract. So, I think like for smaller contractors that are worried about getting into the larger work, like transparency in that, and I think if a GC pushes you away because you're transparent about that, then they're probably not the right GC to work with.
Absolutely.
I mean, every single GC wants another trade partner in there because you guys are hurting for work or like for people just like they're hurting for people. So
absolutely. I mean, we're all so busy right now.
Yeah.
A lot of our trade partners that we're used to working with are maxed out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, there's only so much, I mean, there's enough work out there for everybody right now. And so having another one on the board is not a bad thing. So I think if it's a good GC and they understand how to operate a business, then they'll work with you.
Yeah. For guys that are nervous about getting into this commercial side, I mean, find you a contractor or two or three that you can trust that will work with you.
Yeah.
Send you a few commercial jobs, bid it out, and walk through the scope. Make sure you're comfortable bidding it. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so the way I've always explained it to the contractor side of things, and they already know this, is that like all the crap rolls downhill, right? So you've got the ownership that has a contract with the architecture firm and sometimes civil engineering firm and sometimes MEP engineers, sometimes separate, sometimes all the same, right? So that's kind of confusing. And then they've got ownership contract with the GC, and then the GC has 40 contracts, 50 contracts, 60 contracts out with site contractors.
Right.
And so you've got the whole crap rolls downhill scenario where you've got nowadays everything's so legal that the owner's contract with the architecture and engineering firms is pretty strenuous onto the engineering firms. And then the owner contract to the GC is very strict on the GC side of things. And then there's stuff that we've, as the GC, have to cover our butt when we go into the contractor side of things, because obviously we don't know a lot of stuff. You guys are the experts on this. So you think that's also a missing element that they don't, I think most contractors don't understand. They understand that all the crap rolls back down to them, yeah. But I think they miss the point of like the expert, between the trades and how much is being dealt with in the contract. And, a lot of times they're complaining about, well, there's stuff in our main contract that has nothing to do with us. Well, it's legal stuff that has to be covered through either the corporation or through like the ownership. Like you've got to cover that in a contract on every single contract, even though you're not going to do it. Like somebody that is working dirt might not ever need a hot works permit, but it's on their MSA, and that's the kind of things that they're like, why am I signing a contract that says all this stuff? It's like, because they've got to cover their butt on every single contractor because that's legal, and that's a missing element, I'd say.
Yeah, and I mean that's a requirement that we have for any contractors on our jobs is you've got to have the MSA, and then we only do work orders from there. So your job-specific scope is written on a work order. Yeah, that's just added to your MSA.
Yeah,
so it's all that legally.
Yeah, it's the main legal contract, and then the scope is the work order. Spells everything out that your scope is partaking in.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and then so how important, I guess, would it be to keep in contact with the project estimating team throughout the duration of a project if you're a contractor working with a project team? Do you have contractors that contact you ever during projects, or do they mainly just work with the project team?
Every now and then I'll get a call of, hey, I know we discussed this, but I don't remember what we were specifically going into when it's, something that's undefined. And usually I've got something covered in there for it. A lot of times it's from the input of our trade partners. Yeah. So it's just refreshing them on what it is and then refreshing our project team on what we had included.
Nice.
But usually once the job gets rolling, there's not a whole lot of contact with me on that.
Yeah, it normally gets handed off to the build team. What other like important details do you think like contractors need to understand about the whole estimating process?
When you talk about, stuff rolls downhill, it does, but to a degree. I mean, general contractors are taking
a big
90% of the risk.
Yeah.
There is a lot of risk on the engineering side, but at the end of the day, a lot of times we're at the mercy of our trade partners. So, when we're ready to start a job and our dirt guy tells us, oh, I'm still 6 weeks out, our clock's ticking because we just got a notice to proceed. Now we're 6 weeks behind. So a lot of times we're somewhat being held hostage because, we've got to stay out in front of them and plan for, hey, get your manpower ready. We're starting this job in 8 weeks. We've got to stay in constant contact.
Well, and there are those exceptions on like small projects that the owner goes, all right, hey.
Start tomorrow.
Yeah, start tomorrow. And then you guys go, hey, guys, start tomorrow. And then they go, we can't start tomorrow. We have to mow equipment. And that's totally understandable. But, like, if it's been like we've been talking about this project for a while and you guys should have it on the books.
Correct.
Then it's like, hey, we need you out there. It's like, oh, we can't. What? Why? We need you out there.
It causes problems for us. We had a job recently that, a day after we had the contract, we called the guys up, hey, we're going to be starting this job in 8 weeks. We're going to need you out there, 6 weeks later, this concrete guy. 30 days later, they decided to walk the job because they said they couldn't man the job. Like, okay, now we're at the mercy of, we're already locked into our contract. What do we do now? We ate $140,000 because they agreed to the scope. They had everything covered. And they walked the job.
They just walked off of it?
Walked off.
They're just like, sorry, we can't do it.
Yep.
So then you basically go to the next contractor that said that. But then you have to rush.
Right. We had to rush.
Materials are different at that point.
Make sure he was covered. And at the end of the day, we lose a lot of our fee.
Well, and then what does that do as far as like the trust in your trade partners?
It's tenuous at that point.
Yeah.
And it really is.
Because you guys are relying on them to be part of that partnership as well.
Correct.
You know,
I mean, the biggest thing, going back to what you said earlier, is communication.
mm-hmm.
You know, we're trying to communicate everything that we have to the guys that we're set up on.
Yeah.
As far as schedule, as far as, you know, here's what the owner's telling us, here's when we'll have our contract, here's when you can expect yours. So we've all got a plan for it.
Yeah.
And what we expect back is, you know, the communication loop. Hey, we got to get this submittal in, we got to get this ordered because this is a 12-week lead time. Okay.
I mean, I remember projects that that I was on when we were working together that the material on the job was longer than the project schedule. And we had to actually like eat money up front to purchase like brick on a job like before we even got the contract.
Yeah.
So and that was actually a perfect example of what a good trade partner does because we ate a lot of the money to order it, but they actually ordered it and they actually got things rolling before they got a contract.
Oh yeah.
So it was like they understood that if we get the contract, they get the contract, and that obviously there's going to be some money eaten here. If we don't get the contract, then we're going to have to eat all this brick, and that's a big cost.
Yeah.
But like the brick at the time was like 18 months, 20 months, or 20 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, or was it months? It's probably months. So I mean, it was almost 2 years, and I remember that like the project schedule was like a year and a half.
Yeah. And
it was like, we got to order this 4 months before the project starts. You know.
Well, that's interesting because that's what we've been running into since COVID started, is all these logistics issues, all the material delays. So we're actually, in some cases, getting the steel design, bidding it out, ordering the steel, and waiting 2 to 3 months to start the job.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
You know, on every project. So how do you guys deal with that as far as, like, contract with the owner? Like, do they at least give you, like, a guarantee, like, hey, you guys have the project?
Oh, yeah. At that point, it's our job, but it's...
The contract hasn't been signed.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's typically a limited notice to proceed based on ordering the steel.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying for shop drawings, you're paying for the material deliveries.
Yeah.
And the fab time. But
So here's another random question that has to do with COVID and kind of logistics and that kind of thing. So, like, one of my last projects was obviously that multi-development out there in McKinney, right? That was, like, my second to last project. And that at-home out there that was going to go out there still isn't there. It's 2.5, 3 years later. So, like, when we bid a project, we get a contractor signed up under the project. Well, actually, wait a second. That wasn't, the building itself wasn't our project, just the civil work was. My question was going to be, okay, if we bid that project and then that project stops, what happens to the contract back to the contractor?
You know, a lot of times it just depends on where you're at in the process.
Yeah.
If the owner goes bankrupt, I mean, you're at the mercy of
the bank and
the bank and what they've got left in the, you know, that they can pay the trade partners.
And that comes down to what's the term? Bonding.
Yeah.
Right. So like the bonding company, basically, that's the negotiating factor.
Assuming it's a bonded job.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's if it's a private job and the owner goes bankrupt, you're out of money.
Yeah.
You're out of luck.
Yeah, because he just told the government, I have nothing else.
Right.
And they wrote everything off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. And that kind of comes back to the thing of contractors, should they look back at the ownership of the project that you guys are doing work with? Because, I mean, part of that risk is theirs too.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you guys don't get paid, how are you going to pay them?
Absolutely.
Right? So
they're trusting us that, we've got their best interest at heart. And we do. We have our best interest at heart, and we want them to be successful as well. So, I mean, we're making sure before we sign a contract that this is a legit owner. They've got the money, or at least the banking backing.
Is there any, like, I guess, like, background check going on from the GC standpoint on new ownership? So, like, obviously, like, the owner out there had been doing work with our company for a long time. He still had to go through the bank. He still had to get all this stuff. He still had to coordinate all that. He wasn't like this rich millionaire that could, he was a regular guy that was doing construction loans through the bank. And so part of it was like relying on his budgeting.
Correct.
And a lot of times we didn't get paid for 4 or 5 months because the bank didn't put it out.
Yeah.
Or at least So we're, all that kind of stuff. So you got to think like, is there any background check when that comes into play? Or I know there should be, but in that case, I think it was more of a friend thing. Like he was more friends with the ownership.
Yeah, a lot of times that's personal relationships, but you can actually, if it's a new owner that you haven't worked with, you have, no references that you can check, you can actually go to his banker and request a letter from the bank saying, yes, we're going to fund the job before you sign the contract.
Do contractors ever do that with GCs?
I can't say I've had that happen, but I guess they could.
Like if they're just like not sure, there's a lot of different GCs that are rolling into the area right now, and I'm sure that's happening all over the country. Like how does a contractor ensure that like a new GC in the area isn't just like a fly-by-nighter or a brand new company that can't afford them? I mean, I'm sure there's ways that you can still background check those guys too. I wonder if you have to like let them know, hey, we're looking into you guys just to make sure. I don't know if you need to do that.
That's a good question. Not to my knowledge, but
yeah,
references, like I said, that's
big. Yeah,
that's a big thing, and especially for a general contractor website.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, if you're a GC out there right now and you're listening to this and you don't have a good website, just give us a call. Yeah. No, it's we actually just got contacted by a GC in, I want to say the Fort Worth area. They're a fairly small GC, but they've got some really nice projects. They do really good work kind of all over the place. Not only here in the DFW area, and they're looking to kind of show off. They're not having us do their website. They've already got somebody started on that, but they want to be able to show off the capabilities that they're doing.
Yeah.
Through like their video and photos and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely important even to the GC level, which we don't do a lot of GCs just because I think general contractors are they have a different world.
Yeah.
And they think that they have to have everything in-house, and that bothers the crap out of me. Because that's the reason why I started this company, was because I looked at our GC and I saw 9-10 people in the marketing team, $1 million going out in salaries, and all they were doing was pushing out proposals every day.
Yep.
And I didn't know what they were doing in marketing. I was like, what are they doing exactly? They're like pushing out proposals, and there's 10 of them. Like,
yeah, there was a lot of overhead that was wasted there.
I would say. I mean, I'm just like, and that's why we kind of come. That's our. We don't sell our work. Like, we just look. This is what we do. If you want to jump in on this partnership, we're here.
Yep.
There's a value to it. But when we try to describe the logic base to it, that's one of the points where we're like, look, if you have a marketing team, we'll work with your marketing team, but don't go out and hire 5-10 more people and spend $1 million on marketing when you could have a company like us come in and do it for one price of their salary.
Right.
And we'll do way better. And if you want to fire us tomorrow, you can fire us tomorrow. Like, so that's kind of.
Yeah, as we grow, we're going to be scaling our marketing department. But right now, our marketing coordinator, she is pushing all of our marketing stuff, but she's also pushing proposals.
Yeah. Yeah. And that takes a lot of time.
It does.
The proposal aspect of things takes a lot of time. You kind of have to have a dedicated team to go out there and do media and recruiting and operational development and all website graphics, all that stuff is important. Now, how much time would it save if you guys had a team that would do all your proposals for you?
Oh, a lot. I mean, it just depends on, every week is different. Every week is, this week we'll have 5 jobs we're bidding that only one requires an actual proposal. The rest of it's just numbers.
Yeah.
The following week we may have 3 going out.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
I'm just wondering, like a 24-hour turnaround time. A company that does the graphics and the proposals and all that kind of stuff for you guys. 24-hour turnaround time. Hey, we've got this project. Here's all the info to it. Set it up, push it out.
Right.
I think that. I mean, we do that with a few of our current partnerships, as we kind of like help them out with the proposal process, but we don't do it like heavily. And I'm just like, we could hire a bunch of people just to do that, and it would be much more cost efficient, for us to be able to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's interesting. I know I've got a lot more questions. I wish I had asked social media what questions they had about estimating, because I know there's a ton of questions that I'm missing. But I guess what we'll do is I know more questions will come up, but let's dive into like more of your background. If you can take us through, I know we probably should have started off with this, but let's dive through like, okay, take me back to when you were growing up.
Okay.
Did you look at construction as like a field that you wanted to go in at a young age?
Not necessarily. I went through so many different things when I was growing up. I wanted to be an X-ray technician until I realized you have to have a doctorate in radiology to actually make any money.
I didn't know that either.
X-ray techs make, when I was coming out of college, maybe $30,000 a year with a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not going to work.
Yeah, right.
So you had to get your doctorate to actually make any money at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not spending that much time in college. So, I senior year, I think, is when I really decided to make the switch. Got a summer job framing houses. I had been dabbling in carpentry and trim work and building small furniture pieces and things like that. So started kind of developing a passion there. Then I started framing houses and just grew from there. So while I was in college, I was working for a small general contractor. First couple of years of college, we were doing a lot of stick frame, small type projects, two-story banks and various things like that. And then I got a job for a structural steel fabricating company, so I was on the subcontractor side of things for a while.
Which is kind of neat because most estimators out there from the GC side of things haven't done that before.
Yeah.
So, like, you can put yourself in the contractor's feet and be like,
oh, yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. I totally get it. Yeah.
So, the final 2 years of my college years, I worked as an estimator for a structural steel fabricating company. And that's a whole different side of things when, you take a look at it from the trade partner point of view versus the GC side. So, senior year of college, I was looking all over the U.S. So my wife's from Wisconsin. We were looking at potentially moving back up there. Her parents were in Seattle. I actually went on a couple of job interviews there, got an offer from a company up there. But
when did Laurel move out to Wisconsin?
She grew up there.
I guess she did. I keep forgetting that because, like, anytime I visited your in-laws, it was always out in Seattle.
Yeah.
I forgot that, like, she grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
So, backstory podcast. Laurel was my mom and dad's flower girl at their wedding. And then Ryan and Laurel's little girl was my flower girl at our wedding.
Right.
We just wanted to kind of carry on the tradition. So it goes way back. Like, my parents know his in-laws from years back. Chicago and Wisconsin. I forgot about that. And I guess Laurel did grow up in that area. I forgot.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. So we were looking at really all over the U.S., but the only really good offer I got was a company here in Dallas. And we said, all right, we'll go to Dallas. We'll try it out.
Which company was that? Name names. Let's run them in. Let's do it.
They don't exist anymore. So
okay.
It
all right.
was Jordan B&K Federal Group. So that was a partnership with CF Jordan and B&K out of Birmingham.
Gotcha.
And we did federal work. So, but as soon as I signed on, I was literally on my way to Dallas to look at apartments. And there was national news that they got bought out by KBR, Kellogg Brown and Root.
And you're like, well, great.
Like, oh, man, I didn't want to work for those guys that are that big. That's just a massive corporation. So anyway, I show up to work and
in a transition.
It's probably 2 months of normal business operations. I'm just getting my feet wet. And then all of a sudden, they just come in and put a stop to everything. They've got committee after committee to actually bid a job, risk assessments, financial assessments, all kinds of committees. And when you got a 2 to 3 week turnaround on a bid time, they don't have time to meet to get through the committee before you actually have to bid the job. So we were literally 3 to 4 months of just sitting on our hands, not being able to do anything until KBR figured it out. I'm like, man, I'm learning nothing. I can't do this. So that's when I made the switch to Lee Lewis. Spent 9 years over there. And
how many years were you there when I got there?
When did you start?
We've been here for 8 years, 7 or 8 years. I'm trying to think. So we got married in 2015. So it would have been 2016, 2015, 2016, something like that.
Okay. So I was there about 8 years at that point.
Okay. And then you were there how many years?
9.
That's right. Yeah.
I left there in 17, went to another contractor. That's where I hooked up with Doug Tally. He actually hired me over there.
And now he's running, or him and John.
Doug and John partnered up, and we're just having a blast. It's a great culture.
Yeah.
It's it's home. It's it's what we kind of enjoy. We've got so much camaraderie. We've got a great culture that we love coming to work every day, and we love the people we work with.
Yeah.
So it's been a phenomenal experience.
That's cool. Yeah. So we'll run. I know we didn't mention the name, but you were at Lee Lewis for 9 years, and then we came over to Micon, and then we went from Micon. You went over to Tally. I remember I almost went over to. I was like, tempting, and then that's kind of about the time I was like, wait. I remember this. We quit the same day.
Did we really?
Yeah. I don't know if we planned it. I think we might have planned it. that might be on the down low, but we might have planned it. And yeah, I remember I was like, hey, what day are you quitting? And you're like, what day are you quitting? And I'm like, whatever day you quit, I'll send in my notice. And I remember that we were like, all right. It just, culture makes a huge difference at a company.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be cancers in a society, in a corporation or in a structure of a business. Any business is going to have that cancer. Yep. But it's kind of what the leadership does to kind of eliminate that cancer. And I think at least in my case, it had been going on for way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. But yeah, that's cool. So when you were going through college, you said senior year, you were like, okay, construction. So what were your degrees coming up to that? And then how long did it take you to get a degree? Did you get a business? You said you got a business degree, right?
It's, they kind of changed my, the college, I want to say my junior year. So it was, bachelor's degree in science, in construction management, but they changed it to the College of Business Administration.
Okay, yeah.
So, but I think I still graduated with science. But, construction.
So did you have any clue that you were going to go estimate for the rest of your life?
Yeah, actually.
You did?
I had a pretty good idea that's what I wanted to do because, being on the framing crew, like I've experienced the early morning concrete pours. I experienced, the late night emergency issues.
Yeah.
Not too many estimating emergency issues unless it's, 155 on a bid day at 2:00. So, but, estimating is still, long work hours, but when it's 110 degrees, I'm in the air conditioned office.
Right.
When it's 20 degrees outside, I'm in a heated office. So,
well, and here's the thing is like, we talk a lot in the industry about the kind of jobs that are out in the field that are available right now. But there's a lot of jobs in the office that
absolutely
need smart people to come in and help out.
There's misconceptions about estimating, and actually some of them are true of, estimators are just weird. Generally speaking,
I can speak from
a lot of estimators are, they think differently. And you have to. When you're putting together a job in your head and you're trying to conceptualize, everything that's going in a job and you're number crunching, you can get cross-eyed real quick and you can just burn out.
Essentially, you like you said, you're building the project prior to it being built.
Yeah.
And if a good estimator will put every single block on that building, in his head. Yeah. He'll put the concrete rebar in, he'll put the concrete, he'll put the block, he'll put the roofing material, 3 layers, 4 layers of insulation. Like you're stacking it, and a good estimator that knows what he's doing and has been out in the field and has seen this stuff physically will understand how the process works. And I think that's a big thing too, is when you look at like the architectural plans or the civil engineer plans, those guys typically haven't been out in the field before. Yeah. Normally, there are engineers, there are architects that have been out in the field and done that before, but on most of the time, it's somebody that came out of college and went straight into the architecture firm and started working. And things don't build like they do on plans, and they know that. Like they understand that. Like sometimes they rely on the trade partners as well, and they rely on the GC to tell them those things. But like on our side, as far as like an estimating process, it's super important to have that, like, oh, hey, that door frame doesn't go there.
Yeah.
You can't physically do that. Or that light fixture is 24 inches high above the ceiling frame, and you've got a beam that's going right here. Like, you can't put that there. You know, like random crap like that.
And that really plays into the cost savings aspect of it too, which we call value engineering.
Yeah.
You can't value engineer a job if you don't understand the aspects of the job. So you've really got to, especially on the pre-construction side, you've got to conceptualize how to build it.
Yeah.
You've got to conceptualize when you're providing cost savings options of what do I have to add if I'm taking away something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can get burned on cost savings if you're not clear on what systems you're specifying, what systems you're trying to VE, and the adds that have to go back into it to cover
Absolutely
the delta.
Yeah. So when we look at the jobs in the estimating field, both contractor and GC side of things, I've got kind of a two-part question. What do you see as far as the need of good estimators in the industry? And two, what's your advice to like a new estimator that is just coming into it?
You know, we're really shorthanded on estimating in the industry as a whole. You know, sometimes guys just don't get it. They're just not going to get it. If they come straight into estimating, they can't visualize it. They can't understand it.
Yeah.
It's imperative that guys get some kind of field experience.
Yeah.
Because once you see it go up in person, then you can actually start to visualize it on paper.
100%. Yeah.
So,
and even after one project,
yeah,
you can totally get a better idea because every single project is going to be different, but being able to have that visual under at least one project is important. So, I mean, like, I would almost suggest that if you're a brand new estimator, asking your office to get out in the field every single day, or at least as much as you can, is like essential to your growth in that company.
Absolutely.
And I think a good company would like put you on the path to be out there 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
If they can, right? If you're brand new from college, or if you're new to the industry and they're putting you into it, like literally taking days to go from job to job to job to just see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And just watch it. Just walk the job and watch what the trades are, doing.
A lot of contractors will, as a new PE coming in, they'll pair you up not with the PM, but with the superintendent.
Yeah.
You need to walk with the superintendent. You need to see what he's seeing.
Well, and I think an important aspect, too, is also, like, especially at the end of the job. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the job is where everything that wasn't caught typically gets done.
Yep.
So being able to see, like, I remember, and this might be news to some folks, but typically general contractors don't self-perform stuff.
Right.
There are contractors out there like McCarthy and, maybe Crossland does some stuff, and other companies out there that they do some.
Some of them do their own concrete. Some of them do
earthworks and utilities.
We have labor guys that, they're carpenters, they're helpers. They'll do cleanup.
Yeah.
They'll do blocking. They'll do.
Well, anything that really is missed or that needs help on the project. Like I remember when I got there on the projects in Dallas for my first project, I mean, we were helping the steel workers unload trucks. We were helping them set anchor points for their steel columns that come in.
Yep.
We were flattening out earthworks so that concrete pump trucks could drive in. I mean, we were helping the concrete guys pump out water. We were helping the concrete guys put in rebar. We were helping the insulation, fireproofing, all that kind of stuff, and I think a GC will understand that, like, sometimes they've just got to help with a few guys to make it go smoother.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of not important to those guys. We can save a whole bunch of time if we put a few guys here and help that trade partner to get on. That saves them money, saves us some schedule and, time on the schedule. Yep. Win-win. But yeah, I think getting out there on the end of a project as an estimator, like there were times where we were, like when I was out in Terrell, we had a bunch of stuff at the very end of the project, a punch list items that like we just did as the GC.
Yeah.
We had to knock that out.
It's much easier a lot of times than trying to get the trade partner back out there to do it because they're on to the next job.
Yeah.
And trying to get them back is maybe 2-3 weeks.
But those are items that like you probably would have caught, or somebody else who was in estimating probably would have put on the scope had they seen them at the end of the project. So, as either a contractor or a GC, if you're looking to get into estimating, or if you're a new guy in estimating, I think it's important. Yeah. As much field experience, ask a lot of questions, and especially like I know you've dealt with greenhorns.
Oh yeah.
In the office, like, did you ever get tired of too many questions on a bid? I mean, I'm sure you have because you're doing it too, but it was probably important.
Only when I'm asked for the third time.
Yeah, that gets annoying.
Ask me once, okay, no problem. I'll explain it to you. Ask me twice, all right, I'll explain it again. A third time, you're just not listening.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I think that's, like I said, we need smart people that can do estimating.
It takes the right temperament too.
Yes. Well, yeah, and I'm not it. Like, I'm not somebody that sits in the office all day long.
We interviewed a guy recently, and the guy's literally vibrating in the interview. Like, there's no way you're going to be able to sit for 8 hours a day and do estimating.
No kidding.
You belong in the field.
And that's why I think it's funny because I got a lot of flack for doing closeout documents at the beginning of a project.
Yeah.
But that's why I did that, was because I hate sitting still.
Yeah.
So if I've already started the project and I'm waiting on people, I'm going to do the closeouts of the project 2 years prior to it being closed out. Because I remember I had one project director that was like, no, you need to do this at the end of the project. I was like, but I can get it done now and save some time. He's like, no, you have to do it at the end. And I remember spending like a month in the office over at your estimating department, sitting there doing closeouts. I got so sick of doing that, sitting in the office doing that crap. And I was like, I could have had this done way back when, had you let me do that. And I think there's a strong difference between folks that are meant to be in the office, and folks that are meant to be out in the field.
Yeah.
And there's a big understanding. There's an understanding there that you're gonna beat your body up out in the field.
Yep.
But if you love what you're doing out in the field, you love what you're doing out in the field. And there's nothing stopping you.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you're gonna beat your body up in the office too. There's
ways, yeah.
There's a good mixture, right? There's a different. You're constantly physically beating up your body out in the field, but like in the office, you got to also catch yourself and be cautious about posture, dude. The more I do editing now, I'm like slouching.
Yep,
my neck is
over,
craned.
Yep.
Or like I'm on my phone too much at one time, and I'm like getting that good double chin, and I'm like, oh, I can't. My neck hurts. I'm gonna grow up, and I'm gonna be like Hunchback of Notre Dame over here, slouching around, wobbling over, and that's not good either. But yeah, there's different mentalities, different breeds of people. I think we need a little bit of all.
Then you got to get up, you got to walk around,
you
got to get outside.
Well, okay, so this dives into culture in a company. So how important is it to have obviously the field culture and office culture mingle? Because I know when I was at Micon, that was a big thing.
Yep.
Because if it seemed like office culture, they were always doing stuff during work hours. They were always having fun, and the field culture was always just kind of shunned away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Was what I kept getting from the superintendent side of things.
Right.
Like they're like, well, we don't get invited to that. We don't get to do that. We don't get, and it's like, okay, but you're also the superintendent and you also knew what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's a little bit of that, but like as a team environment, how important is like that culture from the office to the field, and how does that relate to like communication? Because I think ultimately it relays to communication.
It's got to be cohesive. I mean, it's great when I'm getting calls from the superintendent asking me direct, because you cut out the middleman. Hey, I got a serious question about this. All right, I got no problem talking through that with the superintendent, and it's great for me too, because I get to learn things from them, because they've been out there for 20, 30 years. They've got a much more experience in the field than I do. They can teach me all kinds of things, and it helps me become a better estimator.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I would even say that when there's things that are missed on a project, because there is every single time something missed on a project. You can't catch it all. I would almost say that as a superintendent, you should be writing these things down and sending a list back to the, project estimating team.
And sometimes we get that. It's more of a lessons learned type of thing of, hey, here's what we didn't catch on this, especially if we're doing prototypes.
Didn't we have meetings at Micon about that?
We did.
Like post-project lessons learned meetings?
I was there for 2 years. I think I went through one of those.
I think if you're GC out there, I think that's something that's really important.
Absolutely.
Because then you're coming at it as like the team atmosphere and not like hey, estimating, you did this wrong.
You screwed up.
Yeah, because that's never, because a lot of times, you know, like guys like Ryan have a good attitude about that stuff, but a lot of estimators, like you said, are some weird guys, and they don't always have. They're just like superintendents out there that have that ego, right? Like,
yeah, don't tell me I screwed up.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, don't tell me I screwed up. Oh, that's not me, you know. But that's just the defensive nature that every human has, right? Yep. So you think that's something that they haven't really overcome and figured out yet. But as a team, when we go, hey, you know, here's some things as a field team that we missed, and here's some things as like a project, estimating team that we missed. Like, how do we resolve these in the future? I think that's an important role.
Yeah.
In an organization.
No, communication's definitely key in that. Of on the front end, constructability reviews. I don't want to just do it myself. I want the guy that's going to be building it, looking at those drawings. I want to make sure he understands it and catches things that I might miss. So that's imperative up front. It's imperative at the end, lessons learned. So what we do at Tally Riggins is we have monthly checkup. We have weekly checkups, really. And we're talking through issues and what's going on the job, but we also have monthly checkups.
From the estimating team?
Well, we're sitting in the meetings with the PMs.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
So it's understanding how the job's going.
That's a little different than what I've seen.
Handling financially, yeah.
Because then it kind of helps you guys lend a hand in like, oh, wait. We had this over here.
Yeah, because
you don't know about.
Previous companies, I've had guys that PMs will just write change orders for no reason. Like, go back to their quote. Like, it's a line item in their quote. They got it included.
They don't read it either. Right. That's one thing I prided myself on when I was working in the GC side of things, is that like I knew the contract, I knew the scope, I knew the owner contract, I knew the specs, and I knew the plans better than like anybody on the project. Like I remember like I could read off words in my head like no, it said this. And they'd be like, where did it say that? I'm like, I don't remember, but I'll find out for you. Because I remember I read it. Like, I can find it eventually, but just give me 20 minutes looking through the plans. I'll find that one little note that was in that side corner. But that's cool. So what are some other things that, because I know when Tally Riggins started, I mean, their initiative was basically to do it different.
Yep. They
didn't want to do it the way all these other GCs out there are doing it. And not that their weights are terrible, but it's a different aspect of things. Yeah. Different mindset. So like, what are some different aspects to like Tally Riggins that's not normal?
So we've got some key differentiators. Some of these are similar to other contractors where we want to diversify. So, we're getting into multiple industries or multiple
divisions, I guess.
Yeah, divisions. Where we're dealing with industrial, we're dealing with institutional, healthcare, what we call commercial, which is could be retail, could be office, specialty type stuff.
Just anything, yeah.
And then we're also getting into cold storage and manufacturing. So that, in a lot of ways, when you're not doing a lot of public work, is recession resistant.
Yeah.
It's not recession proof, but when you're diversified that much, this industry is going up, this industry is going down.
Yeah.
So you maintain your employees and you maintain your workload.
Yeah.
So there's other contractors in DFW that do that, but that's one of our things that we pride ourselves on, is we're diversified. And we've got the experts in all those fields.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of our other things is, our culture and our core values mean a lot to us.
Yeah. So
it's everybody that comes in the door, if he doesn't meet our culture and our core values, he's out.
Yeah.
It's a non-starter. You've got to be able to, we got to like working with you, and you've got to uphold our core values as a company. So, and then the other key differentiator that we've got is our lean.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted you to touch on, because I've seen a lot of information on LinkedIn about that.
So we're putting out our lean videos, and it's a great differentiator in the fact that there's a lot of guys that do it, but it started primarily in the healthcare industry for occupied hospitals and ways to trim the fat out of the schedule.
Well, a lot of times, oftentimes, the hospital has to keep operating.
Correct.
So you've got to do certain tasks at certain times with certain people.
Yep. And it's a different mindset of an approach to building the job. So there's nobody our size that is actually using lean principles
Gotcha.
in DFW. I could be wrong on that, but
Yeah, as far as what you know, yeah.
as far as I know, we're the only ones our size doing it. And we took it from not just healthcare, we put it across all of our jobs. So every single one of our jobs is run on lean principles. And what happens is most of our industry is about 53% efficient, which means you're basically touching things twice.
Gotcha. Okay.
So putting something in, you're going to have to come back and modify it in some way, punch list, whatever. So that's really inefficient.
Yeah.
So what Lean Principles does is it takes the team approach to everything. We rely on our trade partners. They're the experts in their field. We're not telling them, hey, you're going to get this done in 5 days. We've got their foreman on site telling us,
hey, I'll get this done in 5 days.
It's going to take me 6 days.
Yeah.
Okay. You put it up on the board. You're buying into it. That's what you're committing to.
Yeah.
Because if you don't meet that date, then Mr. Electrician over here is not
going
meeting
to run
dates.
over you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it creates a lot of camaraderie. And what we're seeing is it's making us 60 to 65% efficient.
Nice.
So it's cutting a lot of fat out.
Yeah. Which I did that on one of my projects.
Yeah.
With one of our superintendents. But I think it could have been done better.
And that's the thing is a lot of people, a lot of companies claim they use lean.
Yeah.
But they don't really use it.
Well, I think he did it on a lot of his projects, and I think he was trying to buy in our team, like the Micon team on it.
Yep.
And I think they're like, look, it's your project, whatever. But the contractors had never heard about it before, right? So
that's the problem.
When you have contractors that have never dealt with lean process, then they don't understand how it actually works. And that's another thing. I think education in our industry is lacking, whether it be communication to the subcontractor or whatever. Like just educating them prior to, right? Like that should be something that's in their bid forms or like in their scope of work, where it's like, hey, get with the superintendent, he'll walk through the lean process with you. This is what we're going to use on the project. Mm-hmm. And then if it's a new contractor, they go in and do that. If it's an existing contractor, they're like, done it, totally good with it, let's go. But
yeah, our trade partners know that's what we expect. You know, it's established up front. We have our pool planning meetings from the start, and it's done every single day. We're updating it. And at the end of every week, we're wiping it down and starting over the next 3 to 6 week look aheads.
Yep. Well, it also helps teach as a contractor, going from the contractor's perspective, helps teach your people how to run your jobs more efficiently as well. Because instead of listening to the superintendent be like, hey, you got to get this done in 10 days. If coming from the GC side of things, when I was in that side, mm-hmm. I would rather have the contractor be completely honest with me, so that I could adjust the schedule accordingly, rather than be like, oh, I can get it done in 5 days when it really is going to take you 15.
Right.
You know, like, give me the realistic timeline. Like, I'm asking, because the contract it's a living document.
Correct.
It's a living contract document. It's not set in stone based on most of the GC's contract with the owner. It's not set in stone based on the GC's contract with the contractor. It's not set in stone. It's living, right? There's going to be weather days. There's going to be acts of God. There's going to be all sorts of different legal terms, right? But they're all going to accumulate to this living and breathing document that the schedule is not like firm in its dates. So give me the raw dates. If the concrete's going to be 2 days late, I need to know that. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's
what we
important.
put out there on our lean meetings. Our weekly deal is, hey, we're wiping it down. We're starting over. All the foremen are out there, and they're putting their timelines mm-hmm. on it, what they're dedicating, how many crew members. And if they don't have so many crew members out there, we can all see it. It's all up there on the board. Every one of our job trailers, it's up there.
Well, that's what's cool is they get to come in too and review it because it's there all week.
Absolutely.
Until the next week, and then you do it again.
Yep.
And you get to see, okay, hey, even if it's let's say a foreman gets sick for a week, and a new foreman has to go cover that job, he can walk in your job trailer and physically see it visually mm-hmm. on the board. Oh, okay. My guys need to be here. My guys need to be here. Okay, I can help.
Our owners love it because they can walk in the job trailer and they can see exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Which, of course, I know like the completion date you have set, boom, here. But then that also helps you plan towards, okay, hey, we're running a little bit late. Like, can any of you guys assist in ramping this up?
Right.
A lot of times, what I've found is that most of the time the schedule gets saved with the earthwork contractor and the framing contractor. Mm-hmm. Sometimes steelwork helps, but like those guys can slap out a project fast. The framer can speed up schedule fast.
Yep.
And save a month on a job. That's a large job just by getting his work done. So like, yeah, it's really nice to be able to have, I guess, that plan in a visual form to be able to sit back and say and coordinate with your people, your trades.
Well, and what happens is there's always issues that pop up in the field. There's always RFIs that are needed.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got all these guys collaborating and working together,
Yeah.
you got a drywall guy and an electrician that are working together. They can fix an issue before it becomes an issue.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So
Well, because we already know that like sub meetings happen on the weekly or the biweekly, right, on projects. But until you stand up in the meeting and you start putting it on a board, like there's a lot of things that get missed, at least from my perspective. A lot of things that get missed on subcontractor meetings that wouldn't get missed.
Correct.
If you visually see it on a board, because sometimes those guys are just sleeping in there,
Mm-hmm.
and when it comes to their turn, they start talking about their things. But when you're actively putting sticky notes or pieces of paper up on a board that say I'm going to do this, and then you look over and you're like, whoa, wait, like if you're here now, I can't be here. I have to be here 2 days prior to you being here.
Yep.
So that means I have to ramp up my schedule to fit in that.
Well, and when they have to commit to something, then it's real.
Yeah. Then it's them committing to it rather than you just shoving down their throat.
Right.
Yeah.
And another one of our advantages of our last planer system, we've got our constraint boards. So a lot of times the owner's name is up there.
Yeah.
You got to make a decision on this because it's holding up the schedule.
Yeah.
The design team.
I mean, I remember even the GC had to put up notes.
Yeah.
Like I had RFIs to finish.
Yep.
So that they could put up their material.
Absolutely.
A
lot of times our name's up there, architect, engineer, whoever's reviewing submittals.
Yeah.
Owner making decisions. There's a lot of there's a lot of advantages to that because like I said, everybody walks in there, everybody sees it. Hey, you're holding us up.
Yeah. It kind of keeps you accountable.
Yeah. It's an accountability tool.
Yeah.
But it's, starting with the end date, working backwards, figuring out how much you can cut out of the schedule.
Yeah.
Fat wise.
Yeah, it makes sense. Cool.
But it's a great advantage for us. And the videos that we're putting out there, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn. We're on
Okay.
Instagram.
I need to, because I've seen a few things as far as like photos about the pull planning and the working lean, but I think it's fairly new to the industry, so I think more information on it is necessary.
Been around a while, but like I said, it really hasn't been used.
Yeah, new as in like popularity.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not popular yet.
The big guys in Dallas use it, even some of the smaller healthcare builders, but it's specifically designed for the healthcare.
Yeah.
Whereas we're using it across all industries.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. It's the little things that really matter in each company.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
that's definitely a key differentiator for us, and we're making it available to all of our competitors out there.
Yeah,
I mean, we're showing you the advantages of it. So,
I mean, it kind of helps everybody in a sense because
more
jobs get done.
When our trade partners are all embracing it, I mean, it makes us better as an industry, and it helps our trade partners and it helps us. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm running out of thoughts. Normally, I have a lot of questions as we talk. I normally have a lot of questions, but since I've been in the world a little bit, like there's not as many questions. I'm trying to think of like more stuff that the contractor's perspective would ask, because I know if I were to ask them, they would have a lot of questions. So what I think I'm going to do is, I think after this gets sent out as far as a podcast, I think if you've listened through the entire podcast, any questions that you have on the estimating side of things, send them my way. And then maybe in the future, if we get enough of those questions, we will do a part 2 of this.
Sounds good. I mean, the only thing I can follow up with is, like, going back to what we've talked about before, communication is the biggest advantage we have right now.
Yeah.
And the biggest way to keep us out of the ditch, keep our trade partners out of the ditch, keep the owner out of the ditch. So when we've got, suppliers that won't hold their numbers, we've got, our trade partners know it. They're making that clear to us on bid day of qualifying, hey, this price is only good for 7 days.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you can expect as a contingency carry 15%.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a lot of contractors think about that because, I've never thought about that either, is the fact of, hey, you don't need to give them a new price, but tell them, hey, carry extra money after this date.
And that's what we're telling our owners is, hey, this roofing price is no good
after this
beyond
date.
30 days.
Yeah.
At that point,
you can expect an increase.
Q2, Q3, you've got to add 15% to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to over-communicate with our owners, educate them on everything that's going on in the industry. At the same time, we're expecting that input from our trade partners so we can actually communicate it up the chain.
That makes sense. That's a lot easier than just like, oh, yeah, come back to me in 2 weeks when the price is different.
Well, we don't want to blindside the owner with, oh, by the way, it's going to cost you an extra $50,000 because...
Well, and the contractor doesn't want to blindside you guys either.
Right.
So it's kind of like it makes sense. Like, hey, this is good for this amount of days. Yeah, the communication is super important.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, man, I think we're out of questions. I know I can think of other ones, but is there anything else you want to dive into? Not much?
No, I think that's it for now.
Yeah, that was good. I think we got a lot of good information out as far as like the contractor perspective on the industry towards a GC. I know I've had countless discussions with contractors of ours about how the GC process works. Just because, since I've been in it, it's like, okay, well, no. It's not actually how it operates. Like, you've got to understand how they operate, and then how they operate is going to help you operate better.
That's true.
And so we try to give them the tools on that aspect. But it's good to hear it from you, somebody that's actually there doing it every single day and working with these guys. So I appreciate you coming on, and
it's been a pleasure.
We're gonna drink some more whiskey, and we're gonna let the podcast go. And next time we'll probably have you on again and talk more estimating. So, guys, if you're listening to the podcast, I appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully, you guys learned a little bit. Hopefully, you guys got some good information out of it. If you did, share it with somebody else that could also learn about this, and just kind of keep the word spreading. So. We'll talk more about estimating. We'll dive into other areas, operations on the GC side of things, and then also closeouts and that kind of thing as well. I think it's important to understand how GCs work. I think it's important to understand how developers work, engineering firms work, architecture firms. And so hopefully we'll get some more people like that on the podcast so we can kind of get the nitty-gritty details straight from them. So thanks, Ryan. I appreciate you, man. And
Absolutely.
Everybody in the podcast, have a good night.
Good night.